I'm Steven, and I'm a level 1 chef.
I'm Beth, and I'm a level 2 chef.
I'm Rory McDonald, and I've been a chef for over 12 years.
This is my ice cream recipe that I created. I needed something to comfort me on those lonely nights, and this is how we're gonna mend a broken heart.
This is inspired by the banana split, but certainly with a Domino family twist.
This is my recipe for a banana and passion fruit gelato. This is one of my favorite recipes that we use in the dessert bar.
So we're gonna start with the caramel cone ice cream. This is kind of like already a cheat code. You have your cone, you have your chocolate, you have your caramel. Let's just jump into it.
I'm gonna start by making vanilla bean ice cream. And we're gonna start with some heavy cream.
We're gonna start this gelato by making a really simple sorbet syrup. First thing we're gonna add is sugar.
Because you can't have ice cream without sugar. Always a pinch of salt.
Water, and lastly, trimoline, also known by pastry chefs as invert sugar. There's a mixture of glucose and fructose.
Take your big spoon and scoop it out. I scooped out around half of it. That's why I'm a level 1. I can't tell you the ounces.
Now what I like to do to make it vanilla bean, certainly, is to use a vanilla bean. Slice the bean down the middle. So I'm just gonna put the whole thing in because I'm gonna strain it. We're gonna stir, stir, stir. Now that everything's dissolved, I'm just gonna put this on the side so that it can steep and cool down a little bit so that I can add it to my eggs.
And then we're gonna take the chocolate like so, the chocolate brownies.
So this has come to the boil. We're gonna take this off now and allow it to cool. And then we're going to continue by adding the bananas and the passion fruit. So we're going to cut the banana in half lengthways. Carefully scrape out all the middle of the seeds. If you remove those seeds, you're going to stop the banana going so grey. So now we're going to weigh out the bananas into a beaker.
Next step, eggs and sugar mixture. I'm only going to use egg yolks. We don't really need the whites, and some sugar. And I'm going to mix them together with an electric mixer.
So you take this utensil, which is used to chop up the brownie. Now it's kind of mixed and fused together. Everything is working harmoniously. That's the word, nailed it.
So next we're going to prepare the passion fruits. So we're just going to take the top off and then scoop out the seeds. For this recipe we're trying to use all of the passion fruit. We're using the juice for the sorbet, we're going to use the seeds for a garnish, and we're going to use the husk to actually present the sorbet in.
Bring my egg yolk mixture into my cream mixture, and I want to whisk until the mixture gets to be at least lukewarm.
So you mix up your M&Ms. I came up with this method because caramel cone has almost everything I want, but it didn't have the M&Ms, the brownies inside of it. So I went ahead and fixed that, and now I actually perfected it. They can hire me if they want.
And I'm gonna pour it into the strainer over a larger bowl filled with ice water. I want to really cool down this mixture before I put it into the ice cream machine.
So the next step is we're going to add the rest of the ingredients to the beaker: passion fruit juice, lemon juice, and a little bit of cream. And lastly, we're going to add our sorbet syrup that we made.
We are so much closer to ice cream now. I use a KitchenAid ice cream maker attachment, and I'm going to start pouring my custard right into the ice cream maker. I need to leave it on for 30 minutes.
I feel like there's an easier way to go about this, but it tastes better this way. It's all about the end product.
You want to keep it in the freezer for at least 4 hours. Off to the freezer.
Freeze it solid, and once it's totally set, we're going to add it to the Pack-A-Jet machine. It has a really powerful blade, which basically will make liquids, solids, anything into a puree.
And that looks good. It's ready to go. Now we want to plate it. This is like mush, but it tastes good.
So our fruit mixture is now frozen solid. Now we're ready to spin this in the Pack-A-Jet. The blade is attached underneath. And now when we turn it on, basically the blade is going to force its way down. And it's basically going to puree that frozen mixture. Pack-A-Jet generally takes between 2 and 3 minutes to finish the cycle. And now if you see, we have a perfect texture.
Now we're going to add our hot fudge. I'm going to heat it up, and I'll be back in a minute.
We're going to keep this in the freezer. Now we're going to make our passion fruit caramel sauce.
And this is the easiest, most delicious caramel sauce you can make. I'm going to start with half and half, some light brown sugar, butter, and a pinch of salt.
So in here we have sugar and glucose. So this is going to come to a boil. It's going to turn a dark caramel color. It's going to take about 5 to 10 minutes.
I just keep stirring till everything is soft and melted together and smells delicious. I'm going to add my vanilla, and I'm actually going to cook it for another minute more.
After that, we're going to add the butter to stop the caramel cooking. Next up is the cream. The cream is really for texture and gives the right consistency we want for a caramel sauce. You can tell it's ready because the texture's a lot thicker. And now we're ready to add our fresh passion fruit juice. We're going to bring that back to a boil for another 2 to 3 minutes.
I suppose you could keep this in the fridge for a couple of weeks, but it never lasts more than a day or 2 in my house. The warm caramel, it's wonderful.
Nice and warm. We're gonna add our hot fudge. Oh, that's perfect. This is exactly how you want it to look.
We're going to add the passion fruit seeds. We add it at the end because we really want a fresh passion fruit flavour and we don't want that to boil off. Now we're going to take it off the heat and allow it to cool.
And now on to the toppings.
Sprinkle a few extra ingredients on, so you want to break up the brownie.
So of course we have to start with whipped cream. Whip the cream.
Our gelato's out of the freezer ready. Now we're going to scoop and add the toppings.
Here's our vanilla bean ice cream that we made earlier. The most important thing to remember about a good sundae is that there is no such thing as too much. More is not more, it's better.
And then the M&Ms just to give it some color. More of a garnishment at this point.
So now we're adding some passion fruit seeds to the top as a garnish, but again, these do have flavour. They also have a nice crunchy texture.
Our freshly made caramel sauce.
We're also going to add some of this dehydrated passion fruit, which again gives it a really nice flavour, but also gives it a crunchy texture.
Chopped wet walnuts.
And then we're just going to finish it off with a little micro red amaranth. It's a micro herb.
Nice chopped bananas.
Some whipped cream to top it off.
You continuously put whipped cream on. That's why the bowl is right on the table. Because this much whipped cream is not enough.
Always counterclockwise.
Sprinkles for my Lukey Luke, my grandson who loves sprinkles, and 2 cherries.
A little bit more brownies, a little color. Don't be stingy.
Maybe 3.
And it's the perfect level of melted. Boom!
A perfect sundae.
This is my banana passion fruit gelato with a passion fruit caramel sauce.
Time for the taste test.
Heaven in a bowl.
Oh, that's mostly whipped cream.
So good.
Let's do that again. That's pretty good.
The caramel sauce is so wonderful on this vanilla bean ice cream.
It's so fresh, it's so light. The tartness of the passion fruit really cuts through the richness of the banana, and the texture on the top just really complements everything.
But we gotta get some brownie. Again with the whipped cream. Don't use as much whipped cream as I did.
If I made this again, I would add more whipped cream. Maybe chocolate sauce.
And now the chocolate is basically layering the roof of my mouth. So maybe less brownies. 2 less brownies though.
This gelato is fantastic in the summer when it's really hot and humid to help you guys cool down.
Other than more, I'm not sure I'd make it differently.
Like I do with most things in my life. You start something, you gotta finish it. That's good.
Our chefs used 3 different kinds of ice cream in their sundaes. Stephen used a commercially made store-bought ice cream.
You guys should have a pre-K because I'm not even at level 1.
Beth used a homemade custard-style ice cream.
Kind of like a banana split, but with my twist on it.
And Rory used a mixture of gelato and sorbet.
Gelato has different interpretations for different people.
Milk fat gives ice cream a creamy and smooth mouthfeel and a buttery and rich flavor. Stephen's ice cream contains about 10 to 14% milk fat, which is going to contribute to the ice cream's smoothness and overall mouthfeel. The custard-style ice cream that Beth made has a higher amount of milk fat than the store-bought kind. This is going to give it a creamier and smoother taste.
Nice and thick and creamy.
Rory's gelato-style ice cream uses a combination of a cream and pureed fruit. This has less milk fat than we find in our commercially available or custard-style ice cream. And it's going to give it a less creamy mouthfeel. Sugar provides flavor and texture to ice cream. Commercially bought ice cream has about 14 to 15% sugar, and this was similar in Beth's ice cream.
Because that makes it taste the best.
Rory's gelato-style ice cream used trimoline, which is a liquid sugar made from sucrose that has been inverted or split into glucose and fructose. Glucose and fructose are both monosaccharides that freeze at even lower temperatures than regular sugar. This provides a sweeter flavor to the ice cream and will also allow it to be softer at frozen temperatures. Ice cream is churned to incorporate air and to freeze the product. Commercially made ice cream is whipped with air to about 75% or 100% of the total ice cream mixture. This means that commercially bought ice cream has about 1-to-1 ratio of ice cream to air. The custard style ice cream that Beth made has less overrun or air incorporated into it compared to our commercial style ice cream. The structure of frozen desserts is greatly dependent on the amount of ice crystal formation we get when the water freezes. The ice crystals start to form as we freeze the ice cream, and the slower we freeze it and churn it, we get large ice crystals.
Perfect for my sundaes.
Rory used a Paco jet to make his gelato-style ice cream. The Paco jet spins with the ice cream inside very rapidly, which helps to minimize the amount of ice crystal formation we see and makes a smooth ice cream. Stephen used a store-bought fudge sauce.
Nice and warm.
Beth and Rory both used a homemade caramel sauce. Beth combined all of the ingredients up front and cooked it over the heat until the caramel became deep in color with a rich and creamy flavor.
Immediately, it looks like caramel sauce.
Rory heated his sugar first to produce a caramelization reaction.
That never quite works for me.
This is a non-enzymatic browning reaction where the sugars that Rory used came in contact with heat and started to turn brown or turn into caramel. He then added butter and cream into his caramelized sugar to stop the caramelization reaction to produce a creamy and viscous sauce.
So it got a little steamy in there for a while, but now the texture's thickened, and now I know it's done.
Our chefs use different toppings and mix-ins in their sundaes. Stephen used M&Ms and brownies mixed into his ice cream and whipped cream on top. Beth used wet walnuts, bananas, whipped cream, sprinkles, cherries, all on top of her sundae.
It's not a sundae without the cherries.
Rory used cleaned passion fruit seeds and dehydrated passion fruit. Low moisture mix-ins and toppings like brownies or M&Ms or those passion fruit seeds won't freeze when they touch the ice cream, and they will be easy to chew when you eat your sundae.
Which is nice for the gelato because it's soft.
High moisture mix-ins like bananas might start to freeze when they touch the sundae and will be a little bit grittier or sandier to chew when you eat your ice cream sundae.
You put out the toppings, and everybody makes their own choices.
Commercially bought ice cream uses egg yolks or xanthan gum, carrageenan, or any type of food gum to bind the milk fat in the water, which is going to help to keep the ice cream cold at room temperature for a longer amount of time. But Stephen manipulated his ice cream at room temperature, so even though the ice cream contains stabilizers, it's still going to melt at room temperature.
And that looks good. That looks ready to go.
Taste perception decreases in extreme hot or cold environments. Melted ice cream might taste sweeter than very cold ice cream.
You should try it for yourself. Remember, microwave a minute 30 seconds if you want to be like Steve.
Beth's product had a fairly low sugar content compared to our commercially made ice cream, and also contained a lot of emulsifiers or stabilizers in the egg yolks. This is going to help to keep the ice cream colder or more frozen and melt less quickly. And in Rory's ice cream, he didn't use any type of stabilizer or emulsifier. This is going to produce a really creamy final product, but upon storage, the ice cream will become a little bit hard and sandy. Next time you're craving something sweet, take something that you learned here today and incorporate that into your own sundae.